I got this comment from one of y'all, and I didn't just make a video about it. I created an entire series because this right here, this is the comment that a lot of you are a little too scared to post. I'm gonna read it to you. I now live in NC. I am taking my prereqs. I am going to go hard, but I'm tired of constantly hearing, you need to get A's through your prereqs to get into nursing school. You need to ace your T's to get into nursing school. This scares me, especially since I was more of a C type of student. You might be hearing that you need to make straight A's and you're sitting there with C's thinking, well, I guess nursing is not just for me. But you're wrong. You're not dumb, you're not incapable, and you can be a good nursing student and an incredible nurse. But you might not have found your method yet. Step one in this series is going to be figuring out how your brain actually learns. That's what we're doing today. Before we jump into it, my name is Tiff. I'm a bachelor's prepared registered nurse who went back to nursing school in her mid-30s as a complete career change. I help other untraditional students and untraditional learners get into the field of nursing, excel while they're nursing students, and I also help registered nurses leave bedside for business if they so choose. I don't force them, but if they want to make that jump, make that hop, make that leap, I'm here for them. For my C students, how are we going to break this down? How are we going to get over the hurdle? Put your detective cap on right now. Your job is going to locate your learning style. Every brain is configured a little differently when it comes to absorbing and comprehending new facts. I'll break these into types. There's 4. Our visual learners. If you are the type of person that sees something and you can remember it forever, that means that you're likely a visual learner. If you respond well to pictures, to diagrams, to charts, and that just makes a light bulb go off in your head, then you may be a visual learner. For these type of learners, you want to utilize diagrams, illustrations, animations, 3D representations, or even YouTube videos about that nursing subject to help you understand it better. An example, I'm not really a visual learner, but for some things, like I'm thinking the kidney and the urinary system in particular, when you're inside the kidney, you're inside the glomeruli, ascending loop of Henle and the descending loop of Henle, looking at all of the nephron tubules and everything. For that segment, I was a visual learner because there was no other way for me to sort the information of what part of that loop has sodium getting absorbed or excreted, or has water getting reabsorbed or excreted. It was just so much information, and it was easier for me to mentally map it on like a visual map. So to take this style to the next level, you're going to want to reorganize your notes into easy to understand diagrams or charts. So let's say you're going over diuretic medications. We'll keep in type with kidney stuff. You want to make a separate chart for your loop diuretics and keep it separate from your potassium sparing diuretics. Lists, charts, diagrams, all of that. Mind maps are also good. And a mind map is where you put a central theme or concept in the middle, and then there are offshoots. They can be free form, where you just write everything you know about that subject. Or it can be organized and pre-made, where it'll have something about a particular subject, mental health. And then one of the offshoots will be psychiatric medications, and the other offset will be talk therapy modalities like CBT and DBT. And another offset will be defense mechanisms. And another offset will be adverse childhood experiences. It ends up being like kind of organized, and you make your mind map that way. Do not underestimate the power of handwriting your notes if you're a visual learner. It will help you memorize things if you write, or if you even see them in a different medium, like on paper instead of a screen. And when you are taking notes, whether that be on your computer screen or writing, you want to be sure to highlight certain sections, to make things bold or italicized, to change fonts and colors to make text pop out for you. It increases the chance of you making a memory. There are also auditory learners. This is the second type. If you can remember the lyrics to a song that you heard when you were 7 years old, and you remember the melody after only hearing it 3 times, you're probably an auditory learner. I'm an auditory learner. Once I hear something, it has a much better chance of just marinating and staying in my brain. It just bangs around in there if I hear it, If I see it, it may not stay. Hearing instructions repeated or having access to audio versions of your textbooks can help you if this is your learning style. Also, listening to lectures, again, while you're washing dishes, while you're cleaning up, while you're doing laundry. I would listen to lectures and listen to my notes while taking showers, and also like just getting ready in the morning, just doing my hair, brush my teeth, whatever. That would be part of my morning routine. It was very low stress way of hearing the content over again, and it was really helpful. Another thing for auditory learners is to sit down or stand up and teach your friends, your family, even your pets what you're learning. You're creating a positive feedback loop where you're not only producing the information that you need to teach them, but you're also hearing it in your own voice and going through it that way. So that is really good. Repetition is key for all learning styles, but especially for auditory learners. You're going to want to say the long medication name and the mechanism of action over and over and over until it commits yourself to memory. Before I get into kinesthetic styles and reading and writing learners, let me say this. Most people are not just one style. You might be a mix of 2 or even 3. Even if you already heard what you think you are, keep listening, because the combinations of the style is really where the magic happens. Kinesthetic learners, they learn by touch, by movement, by actively interacting with the world around them. If you explain to a kinesthetic learner verbally how to transfer a patient from a bed to a wheelchair, it's not going to stick. But if they see you do it and then they can mimic what you're doing, that is how they're going to learn. They're very good at teach back. When they show you and model for you what they've learned, that's a way for it to get cemented in their memories. I will say, as a student that has attention deficit disorder, that studying is easy for me if I'm moving in some way. I might be able to tap, I might be able to bring my hands a little bit, I might crack my knuckles some, might fidget a little bit while note taking, but it's helpful to do that during note taking and study sessions. I had a student in my class that she sat in the front and sis was crocheting every single class. She had straight A's because crocheting was a way for her hands to stay active. She wasn't taking notes. So I'm like, wow, this is crazy. She had to be auditory as well as kinesthetic probably. But she would sit there and crochet. She absorbed everything because it lowered her stress level. It helped her retain the information. And then she would go home and write what she remembered, possibly listen to the lecture again, and then she was fine. Going over lectures, when going over these concepts, you may want to role play if this is your learning style. You might want to walk around. You want to say the concepts aloud because mouth movements still count as movements. It is still a movement that you're coordinating, so that's very good for kinesthetic learners. You want to role play things like your head to toe exam where you're doing the actions as you're saying them aloud. You may say, hey, Mr. Smith, now I'm going to palpate your carotid arteries, only one at a time, never both. We don't want to have anybody pass out. Or you may want to say, hey, Mrs. Smith, I'm going to pinch your finger very lightly to test for skin turgor. You want to act it out as you're saying what it is. You want to go into your lab ready to touch and feel the models. Like if you're in anatomy and physiology, you want to go touch the bone, say the name of each fossa and each foramen as you're palpating it, as you're physically manipulating the samples. You want to physically write flashcards, and this also combines with visual learners too. You can speak them out after you write them. That's looping in auditory. Another good kinesthetic one is dry erase boards because you're getting that movement. You're getting more sensory feedback as you're writing. You can have cool colors. You can have scented markers, whatever. And the last learning style is reading and writing learners. These students are going to benefit from taking more detailed notes during lecture. They're going to actually benefit from reading the textbook. They're going to benefit from reading articles and supplemental information about what they've learned. If you summarize the information from one source to another. So I would take my notes from class and then I would retype them into a Google document, very, very, very condensed, just key concepts. And I would share this study guide with my group of friends. I use OneNote to take notes, then I would just put it in a Google document that could be shared. And I would like add emojis and fun fonts and colors and sizes. Also, lists are very great if you have the reading, writing, learning style. Acronyms may work for you as well. I hate acronyms, but it may work work for other people. Now you know how your brain learns. That's step one. But step two is just as important. You have to set up your study environment, your tools, and your habits so that your learning style has room to work. In part two, which you're gonna watch with me next, I'm gonna give you the cheat codes that help every learning style. The universal stuff that most nursings do not figure out until they've already failed a test or two. Part two is right here. But remember, I believe in you, you're incredible, and you can do whatever you put your mind to. Come on, let's watch the next video together, girl.